Hey, 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 what's up, yo? Hey guys, happy Saturday. Happy Easter to all who celebrate. I say that because we celebrate Greek Easter over here. Well, I call it Greek Easter, but I mean Orthodox Easter. So, welcome into a brand new thing called a movie night. We should come up with a fabulous name. Drop any comments that you have. I felt like Marvin the Martian there. Drop any comments that you have in for what we can call movie night because I think it's going to be a thing. I am just super, super duper excited. I hope I can, translate everything because it is just amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me. Um, all the insights that I received while I was watching not only the first Space Jam, I didn't even know there was a second Space Jam, but I also watched the Legacy. And I am just super duper excited to jump into it. So we're going to go ahead and start um, with actually the hey, 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 what's up? Welcome. We're talking about some movies tonight. The movies like to come in, and at the beginning of this week, what happened is when I sat down to get Animal Wisdom, I totally went into Space Jam. And I was hearing, I heard Michael Jordan. I got the number 23, Michael Jordan, Space Jam. It's been coming in for a couple weeks. And then I heard Space Jam. And how did I do that? Because I heard the song I Believe I Can Fly. Okay. New subscriber, welcome. This is a brand new thing, new subscribers. So if you want to vote or drop a comment on what you think we should call this movie night, let us know. Welcome to our community. So basically, this is brand new, and it's because the movies come in all the time for the Oracle, as you guys know, especially a lot of the kid movies in particular. But what happened though, when I sat down, I heard I Believe I Can Fly, and then I wrote down some channeled messages, and what I heard was woman versus woman competition. And I thought that was very, very interesting. I wrote down there is no I in team. And then I wrote down just had a V8 and I'm laughing about it and I wrote down a smiley face here. Team, time to pull some people, time to pull some people to get her, together to get her. And so, right for Animal Wisdom this past week for the Canary, I got I Believe I Can Fly. So, we shared some of this information, just very little bits of it, in the Canary Oracle, which was this past week's Spark of Wisdom. And of course, we were led to that because when I went and watched a video, I knew I was in the right place. And as soon as I saw Tweety Bird, I definitely knew. I had a hunch and it was confirmed. So, this is kind of how fun Animal Wisdom comes in. And this week it was very, very magical. So, that's kind of the backstory about why we're actually talking about Space Jam. Okay. So yeah, when I got I Believe I Can Fly, I actually wrote down here that I had an insight and a message when I listened to the song in the movie, because I was like, man, I should look at that again. And I heard flyers. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. So let's see. Just right from the bat, from the beginning of the movie, I got some insight. I got so many insights to share, and oh my gosh, even more from the second movie. Okay, so the movie opens up on Space Jam. If you've seen it, if you haven't, you can watch it and come back, okay, and see what you think. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But basically, at the end, at the very beginning of the movie, they open up with the song that I heard, "I Believe I Can Fly." Okay, and it cuts into Michael Jordan when he's a kid. Actually, the date I wrote it down. It was like 19. It was 50 years ago. Okay. So it was, I remember, yeah, I believe I can fly. She's still sleeping. Okay, hold on. That's something else. See, I've got lots of notes in here. Just a moment. Okay. So basically, when I looked at the logo of the movie, though, it has like a spiral. Okay. So I was seeing the spiral, and then the jam was in the middle of it. Okay. So that's kind of how it all started. And I was like, whoa, how could I have never watched this before? Okay, here we go. So I was like, where are my notes on this? Sorry. As soon as we're in the movie, right? The first movie, Michael Jordan at this time is playing baseball because it's like he's talking to his dad. It's 50 years prior, okay? So it's 50 years prior. He's talking to his dad out on the basketball court as he's a kid. He's like 12 years old. And he's telling his dad all of his goals. And then they fast forward and he hits all these goals, right? He does everything. He's Michael Jordan. I mean, he is the man. So they even show him retire his number. He retires from basketball, and they say, "Hey, Michael, what are you going to do next?" And what does he say? I've always wanted to play baseball, and that's because it was really special to him because his dad passed actually, and his dad loved baseball. So here we go again. This is where I actually got the confirmation because I see Michael Jordan step up to the plate and now he's number 45. Okay. So first he's number 23 and now he's on the Red Barons. And as soon as I saw Red Barons in sight, boom, I saw Woodstock. So that's what confirmed the canary. I was like, it's the canary. I knew it. So that's kind of how it all started. Then we start so Michael Jordan's in the movie and the Red Baron. Okay, there it is. Yep, Woodstock. And basically from there, when we go into the movie, okay, here we go. Hold on. 1973 is where they went back. Okay. So basically, Michael had reached his pinnacle, right? And so, how is this talking about a lot of things here? This movie actually really speaks a lot of volume because I'm in that 50-year-old age group. And so, but basically, he reached his pinnacle and that he did everything he wanted to do. And now he wanted to do the last thing he told his dad: I want to play baseball. So then they cut into Moron Mountain. Okay, we go into outer space. We got Moron Mountain, and here we're talking. We see the characters on the other side, the bad guys, so to speak, and they're like, we need to do something to really entertain everybody. So they have this idea about grabbing the Looney Tunes. So they go to Toonland, okay, and I love this because it's really showing how you can go from different dimensions, okay. So they take the spaceship and they go to Toonland, and they're like, we want to bring you to our planet, and they're like, you just can't take us. And so these guys are like really teeny, right? And so they're like, let's have some sort of contest. And so they challenge them to a game of basketball, and that's where it all begins. So of course the aliens, they start stealing some other famous players. Okay, so a couple of them, only two numbers are showed, but the first person that was taken was number 34, which you guys know. I love the numbers. So which comes in as the number 7, and isn't it ironic? It's Charles Barkley, and he's on the Suns. Okay, and then we have Patrick Ewing, who's number 33. And basically, what they do is they steal their talent. Okay. So there's this, we steal your talent. And this is really, really, really close to a lot of things that I've been saying for a long time about how there is this idea that most of us, I would say everyone, has, well, maybe it's not everyone, but it feels like it might be, is like those who are strong in their feminine side are attached to a masculine that doesn't match. There's like a mismatch, okay, is what I'm trying to say. And this is what's happening to the players, and these 5 players, and all of a sudden they just can't play their game without their talent. So I do find it very ironic that one of the very first things that happen is they start talking about germs, okay? And in fact, they closed down the whole NBA because they're worried that these five players are sick. And I was like, wow, that's super cool. So then get this, then it goes into a new scene and it shows a full moon. And here we are in the full moon of the Libra, the pink moon specifically. It's a very iconic time, I feel, okay? Because we've actually noted this as the rare double it's part of the rare double moon of Aries, which started 2 weeks ago. And so we've got our first full moon, and there's just a lot of different things involved here. So I was like, oh my gosh, they're showing a full moon. You know, coincidence, or is it? But I just love that Spirit brought this in for us. So when they go on the wall, okay, so what they're doing, I like literally took notes, okay? That's what I did. I literally took notes on both movies. So when they first go and they're like, okay, we're gonna play a game. They drafted Michael Jordan to be on the Toon Squad. Now notice they don't call it TOON squad. They call it TUNE squad. Love the full moon the other day. What a spectacular sight. Yes, it was. And I love that you shared some pictures. Thank you. Um, so basically, Michael Jordan had come in and they were showing all kinds of clips. So, they took Michael Jordan from a golf. I don't know if you've ever seen Space Jam, but it's really a great movie. I saw it many moons ago. I have a 28-year-old, a 23-year-old, and now a 9-year-old. So I saw Space Jam when it first came out, owned it on VHS. Okay, I'm totally dating myself here. And now I just watched the last one with my 9-year-old, and she's actually rewatching it right now. She loved it so much. What a difference between the two movies. Not only is there a 25-year difference between the two, okay, another 7, by the way, there is just so much of a difference, okay? So let's keep on number one. So, first of all, when Michael Jordan is drafted to the Toon Squad, he's taken from the golf course through a hole in one. He goes through a portal, they pull him on. Hey, Diane, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about Space Jam. And right when they bring him to the court and they're like, okay, we're going to practice. He's like, I need my shoes. I don't have any shoes. So they send the characters to his house. And I noted that I never noticed this before, but they definitely showed that Michael Jordan he's number 23 for the Bulls. We've actually talked about that. Okay. So I just want to preface this. If this is your first time, we've actually been getting these numbers coming in for oh my gosh, quite a few oracles, 3 or 4. So you can look back on our recent oracles. Okay. What I think is so synergistic about all of this is normally, for those of you that don't know me, is normally I'm the animal wisdom lady. So the animals come in the moon cycle. Usually it's one animal, okay, and they share the wisdom, just like I shared on our community board for the canary. What beautiful wisdom, right? So a few weeks ago was the first time in 3 years. First time in 3 years. First time in almost 120 episodes um animal wisdom. I was like, we're creating a team. So we've got the badger, okay? We've got the badger, we've got the aardvark, and now we have the canary. So our team is 3, and this all started with this double full moon, double new moon Aries, okay? So if you're not aware, this last new moon was in Aries, and our next new moon, which is an eclipse actually, is also in Aries. So it's a very rare event. And so I love the synchronicity that Spirit brought this movie in because it's also a collaboration of a team. Okay. And when I start sharing with you some of the numbers, I think you're going to be a little blown away, just like I was. I went into this with fresh eyes. So the very first thing I saw when they went to the court and they're starting to practice, right? And the tunes are like going crazy and they're being all loony and Michael's like, whatever. They're showing the court. And I saw on the wall it said number 80 and number 62. So I'm like, huh, 80. So that always, means abundance. And with the zero is spirit. So I'm like, oh, spirit's bringing in abundance. And then you see a 62, um, which, also is an eight. So there's something right there. Okay. Um, they go to Michael Jordan's house. He was number 9 when he played for USA. He was number 23 for the Bulls. And then he became number 45 for the Barons. Okay. Now, these numbers were talking to me. So, I added them up. And guess what they all add up to, folks? We've got a vibration of a 9 plus a vibration of a 5 plus a vibration of a 9. And what does that get? It gives you a number 23. Okay. So we're talking about really overall is really what's coming in. I got a channeled message about that, about an activation to our root chakra and our sacral chakra. Okay. Which completely makes sense to me that is what's happening, especially in this full moon. It's the pink full moon. I want you to think about it for just a moment. It's called the phlox full moon. That's why it's called the pink moon. It's related to phlox. Okay. It's the first time they come out of the ground. And the phlox actually, it's this pink color, right? But when we're talking about the number 23, okay, because the numbers speak to me in chakras and energy. So and I just love how it really correlates to what we're seeing. So we're talking about the root chakra and the sacral chakra going through an activation, but this is after a collective, as we shared a couple weeks ago, a collective Earth Star chakra. So if you think about your chakras moving up, right, then you can see, of course, if the bottom one is going to shift, okay, the Earth Star chakra, if there's a shift there, you can very easily see how it would shift the very next two, which is the root chakra and then the solar plexus. And then you can really kind of easily see why the next new full moon is the number 45, which is the solar plexus and the heart chakra. So it's like all of our chakras from our heart chakra down are going through a huge activation during this whole double moon. As above, so below. Our heart is the center of our chakra system. And why do I always talk about the chakra system, my friends? Is because your chakra system is your communication device to everything. Everything, okay? Including your relationships with yourself, with your business, with your work, with everyone in your life, okay? And here we are in what? The Libra, which rules all relationships. So I'm just like loving this synchronicity. Okay. So they go to this. So now let's talk about the team and let's talk about the numbers, right? So you would think that some of the numbers would make sense, but actually a lot of the numbers were all over the place. So of course, we've got here, I've got my numbers back over here. I wrote them down. Where'd I write them? So we've got the numbers for Tweety Bird. He is number half. Of course, he's the star of the show this week. And so he was 1/2. Okay. And how about that? Halfway. Okay. So he came in for the full moon. And it's kind of marking that we're halfway through that first part of the new moon. And then we've got a whole nother series to go, which are the eclipses, okay? Bugs Bunny is number 1, and Lola is number 10. And they kind of like get a little smooch here and there. So it's the girl bunny and the boy bunny. And of course, we're in the year of the bunny. Okay. We were talking about for months, I think for almost a year, actually, since all the way since last fall, we've been talking about the coming together and the masculine and the feminine, the Merkaba coming together, right? Right here, got it right here. We've and look it's a bird. I was telling you, it's all coming together. We've got the tune squad, okay? The tune of the birds, the songbirds. And that's what we've had. We've had this connection within ourselves, okay? And I love that that was just sitting right there. So on their uniforms, the she's number 10 and number 1 is Bugs Bunny. So whenever we're talking about whenever in Oracle or in Tarot, when the number 10 is always referring to not only the beginning, the ending of a cycle. So notice Lola was wearing number 10, the ending of the cycle for the challenge that we've been talking about, the 33. Okay, the 33, which is all about the heart chakra, the sacral chakra, and the heart chakra, the higher heart awakening. Okay, we've been talking about that. So if you're a first timer here, some of the lingo is a little different. But what I love about this is that she's number 10, showing the ending of a cycle. But then Bugs is number 1, showing the beginning of a cycle. Okay. So totally on hand with what we've been getting. Loghorn Fanghorn, the rooster, he's number 33. We've got Sylvester the cat, which is number 9. And then we've got Daffy number 2, and then some random things, okay? But what I do love and what I picked up there, they had a big T on all their uniforms. They said Toon Squad, the numbers were on the back, and then they had a T. And the T, when I heard that, I heard Titan, actually. So I was like, what is going on? Okay, so in the Toon Squad logo, I already talked about that. It's got the spiral, okay, and actually the spiral is going left, okay, so it's lefty loosey, which means, um, again, this is something I kind of try to teach about. So there's two ways, like when you activate grids, you can go lefty loosey, which means you're taking the energy away, or you can do righty tighty, and that means you're keeping you're pulling the energy in. So I was getting on there. So isn't that amazing? I told you that this is source bringing this in, and so there's energy being taken out. Now at the very end of the movie, okay. First of all, sorry, Bugs Bunny creates the secret stuff, right? And they pass it to Lola, and I start hearing that song, Lola, la 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 Lola. Hey, what's up? And then when there's 10 seconds left in the game, the score is 77-76. It's like there's all of a sudden there's 10 seconds left, and they finally tell Michael Jordan that you're in Toonland. You can use your imagination. And so this is how he scores not yet, but that is how he scores the final basket, is because he makes his arm super long. He uses his imagination, and it's just really in touch with everything that we've been talking about on this channel. So 10 seconds left in the game, and everybody is like, they're panning to all the characters, and everyone's like beat up. Nobody can go in. And who walks in the court but Bill Murray? And guess what his number is? Number 22. Walks in just in time, 22, master builder, walks in and, yes, plays the game for only 10 seconds. And Michael Jordan uses his imagination. He puts the basket in by making his arm super duper 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 long. And then they pan to him coming back. This is the comeback. He comes back to the Bulls, and now he's number 45. Okay. So we've got, so that's the synopsis of the movie if you've never seen it. Michael Jordan, of course, iconic, number 23, but he comes back. He leaves the game and he comes back. And this is really talking about what a lot of people are going through. Okay. A lot of people are going through these changes where it's like, oh my gosh, something else is coming in. It's a little bit confusing. I'm just going to do what I always said I was going to do. And then, there's a little bit of craziness and it brings you back to your center and you decide to do what you're good at, okay? What makes you happy, no matter what anybody else has to say, okay? So that's a really, really big part of the movie. And I was getting the number 23 and the number 45 are related to these full moons. Okay. So the 23 for this full moon, which I discussed is the root and the sacral activation. And then, just moving forward, I'm just going to put it out there. Number 45 for the next full moon, which where's my handy dandy calculator? Somewhere around here is oh, here it is. I always like to keep my calendar here. So we're going into May. And by the way, I just want to say, because I think it's important, is that the pink moon came in at 1, 2, 3, 4. That I noted that I've talked about that a couple weeks ago, and I shared with you all that Spirit has told me that the divine feminine will be healed. The divine feminine will be healed by April 26th. Okay. And this is right after the beginning of the total, right after the week after the total eclipse that starts again, that double moon. Okay. So I've been seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 on the clock today. Yeah. Okay. So meant to hear. Bing, bing, bing. That's what I'm talking about. All these numbers, all these signs, right? So, okay, that is like already so awesome. But I'm my head is like about to explode, wanting to share with you the movie that I just watched. First timer, didn't even know there was another Space Jam, had no idea. But there was a new one. It's actually not called Space Jam 2, it's called Space Jam The Legacy. Okay. So the legacy, and it is just wow. I've got to tell you, it is crazy. Now in Legacy Space Jam, it opens up in 1998. So again, we're getting a throwback. We're going back to when LeBron was a child. And guess what number he's wearing, my friends? Number 23. Now he's playing on this team in junior high. It's the Wolves. The team is called the Wolves. It's a black uniform it's actually black and white, which I think is pretty awesome. That whole duality. Okay. Feeling with the Wolves, it's like that dark feminine. And this has been coming a lot and layered over. Okay. So there's layers here of this inspiration. So his mom is saying bye to him. I can't make it to your game. She's a hard worker. She can't make it. He's super disappointed. And he's playing on a Game Boy, and the coach is like, you got to pay attention. You got to focus. If you you got to do the work. So you're really kind of seeing some of the programming that many of us pass down to our children and that come through school. You got to work hard, play later, work hard, play hard. All these different kinds of phrases, right? And so what he did is he did that. He worked really hard. Then they go into showing LeBron James is now the character. So it's interesting that he's also number 23. Pretty sure inspired by Michael Jordan. Okay. So they cut into him. He transfers to all these teams. And what happens here is completely different in this movie. It's so good, you guys, because it's just so mind-blowing. I want to like do it justice. First of all, the logo is different. There's no spiral. It's just this circle. And you know what it is? It's a portal. It's a portal, my friends. And the reason I'm saying that is that when you watch the movie, you'll see it cuts right away. Okay, so it opens up, same thing, he's little, and then it comes back to like LeBron now, and he's like outside hanging out with his kids, and he's really, really hard on one of his kids. And he's like, when you're in this four lines, when you're in this structure, the four lines of the court, the square structure, when you're in these four lines, you got to work, right? And it's like the mom says before they go to bed, he doesn't need a coach, he needs a dad. So there's this whole illusion, not illusion, there's this whole representation, and it actually shows up of this relationship between son and father. Okay, so there's this relationship between son and father. Now it goes into Warner Brothers, and believe it or not, goes into a computer. Now this is where it kind of blows my mind, because I have been sharing with y'all I've been sharing with y'all that there are portals. There are energies that come through, and I'm not crazy. I'm in my right mind, okay? But I've seen it. I when I ever People see things a little differently. I see the energy, okay? This is why I study the energy. I see the energy. This is how the angels communicate with me about how the energy shifts throughout the chakras, how that's related to the universal energy. I've seen actual like a portal close, and I've seen the transfer of the energy. And um, for any of you energy workers out there, you know what I'm talking about. For all of you who are just kind of like dabbling into this, I'm going to tell you what, if you ever all of a sudden just get really, really tired, if you just like cannot think, okay, I want you to ask your team, I want you to ask your guides, your angels, is there an open portal that is not of the light? Now, there's lots of portals that are of the light. So I want to teach you about that verbiage, okay? And you can call upon our Archangel Sandalphon to help close that portal. All right. You can call upon him. You can message me for the words. I had to search high and low. So I'm very passionate about sharing this. Now, some of you that are new to me, you don't know my story, and that's okay. You're going to get familiar. But I had a spiritual awakening and didn't even know I was opening portals. I had no idea. Okay. And so uh you're not so crazy. Oh, thank you. I know. It's like, I'm not so crazy. Hey girl, what's up, Nicoletta? Nicoletta also sees them. Yeah, I see the portals everywhere. And I didn't even realize that I was opening them. Okay. But we all open portals with extreme, I'm not even gonna say extreme, but you can with emotions, okay? So this is the thing about portals. They're really nothing to mess with, okay? Because if you leave a portal open, it's one thing to open portals, but if you don't close them, can you imagine what can come through? Okay? And so that's why I learned to close the portals. And once you close a portal, everything that came through has to go back. Okay. So just so you know, there's nothing, to worry about, but it is about being, it's about learning. It's about learning. Okay. And so a lot of us open portals and we're not even aware. We're doing this with our emotions, anger, frustration. And this actually allows energies to be drawn to those emotions, right? So it's just a basis of energy here. We're just talking about basics. That if I take, point A and point B, energy just likes to attract to the same thing. It does not know that this is sad. It does not know. This is sad and it's got a vibration. Anything that matches that vibration is attracted to it. Okay. So, this is what is super important to learn when you're trying to master your energetic system, which is what I told you is a communication system to the universe, to everyone around you, because we are all energy. Okay. So, this is kind of the basics. All right. So here we are. and this is gonna blow my mind. I hope I can translate this really well. You're gonna want to watch this movie, okay? I'm telling you, it's just like what? So being aware and seeing the portals and understanding and seeing the portals come through seeing energies come through the television, seeing energies come through phones. I'm not here to scare you. Okay, this is not what this is. This knowledge is power. So, I just want to tell you this phone, it's super easy. It's my purest intention, angels of the highest light, to seal all my reflective devices in my home. That's one I use all the time, every day. And that will seal all your mirrors, that will seal all your phones, your computers, everything. Okay. So it's just taking a moment. Hope your hand is getting better, Nicoletta. Yeah, I know. I hope it is getting better too, Nicoletta. um, so you can seal all your devices with intention. Okay. Um, that's number one. Okay. So that's number one. And that is something that I definitely every single person who works in spirituality, dibble dabbles in any way, you need to seal your devices, please. Okay. It's really about keeping your energetic system intact. Okay. All right. So, ironically, we go into this computer system, okay, and we meet our villain of the movie, and his name is, are you ready? His name is ALG, actually. Actually, he calls himself King LG, LG, and this is short for a logarithm. Interesting, isn't it? So let's see. Oh my God, I knew reflected devices need to be sealed time to time. I've always just envisioned putting in energetic chains and locks on them because I felt I should. You know what? I'm glad that you bring that up, and you should always trust your guidance, right? Trust your intuition, you know, and things like that. But just basics. Your angels are ready to do anything for you, you guys. Okay, that's part of why I love to get on here and teach, and is because I didn't know any of this, nothing. Literally, I was a spiritual virgin. Literally, okay. Um, Oh, Nicola says her hand's getting better. I know we miss her shuffling, but she don't the cards guide her. She reads the energy. So, she's amazing. Okay, so yes, let me give a shout out to Shamanic Insights. You guys want to follow another oracle? Her and I are very in tune, okay? And not only that, we are both of the light, okay? So I'm just saying that. She really doesn't need the cards. No, she really doesn't. Okay. But they guide her and they inspire her. That's what the cards do. For any oracle, you know, tangent, for any oracle, it's just like we choose a card and it's like we just have insights, right? We just have downloads. We just have like channels that come. And sometimes it's the numbers, and sometimes it's the cards, and sometimes it's something you see on the cards, and it can change all the time, but usually it coordinates, right? So, all right. Yes, it just kind of keeps us on track. Okay, so we meet the villain who is LG. And like I told you, he is all about this main character, and he literally says, I wrote down some words here, okay? All right, hold on. I need to go back a second. So the son, Dom, one of the sons, he is not so interested in basketball like his dad. He really likes gaming. Okay. And so he's designed at the age of 12, he's designed his own game, and it's called Dom Ball. Okay. And he just wants to play for fun. His whole message to his dad is, I just love doing this. It's so fun. And his dad's like, you gotta work hard. You need to play on you've got basketball camp next week. Okay. So you can see there's this pressure. Um, like he's like, why can't you just be my dad? I don't need a coach. I don't even like basketball, right? But obviously it's part of his life. So, like I said, we pan to LG, or the logarithm at Warner. Okay. And he says, literally, I wrote this down, I will finally step out of the shadows into the light. And then he says he scans. He uses a scanner and he pulls the people into his computer. He pulls LeBron and his son into the actual computer with him, and he introduces them and he says, hey, we're going to make this work. He's got this whole idea about how LeBron is the king, and this is going to really make him come out of the shadows, and people are going to really understand what the star, the logarithm is. Okay. And so they're like, LeBron is like, this is a terrible idea. And so they're going to leave, and, it pulls him into the computer, which I thought was really interesting. So, of course, LeBron is like, no, I don't want to do this. And he's like, I'll make you a bet. Here we go. Let's play a game of basketball. And if I win, you have to stay here and play and do it over and over and over and over. And if you lose, then I'll let you and your son go home. So he's like, well, I've got no choice. I got to play. So what he does immediately, King LG, is he sends LeBron to the rejects. And all of a sudden we see him going into Toon World. So he sends him to the rejects, Toon World. And he falls, when he falls into Toon World, he lands, of course, and there's a big hole in the ground, and it's a Nike swish, okay, which is kind of a nod to Hermes, okay. I just want to say that a little bit. There's definitely some of the gods overplay. Definitely noticed it in this movie. And I noticed that the clock, they show a clock right away in Toonland. I'm not really sure, but it says 23:57. Now, 57 is a number I've talked about all the time. Some of you already know what do I always talk about. Heinz 57, baby. 57 ingredients. So I'm looking at here and I'm going, wow, 57 ingredients. 23. Some of these numbers are matching up. Let's keep watching. Why are those numbers there? So then he meets Bugs Bunny, right? He's in Toonland. He meets Bugs Bunny, but the logarithm has already visited Toontown. This is why it's the land of the rejects, because the logarithm already came to Toontown and tried to recruit them. And what you see is it took all the characters except Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is all by himself, and all the other characters went off to other places to, increase the logarithm. Okay, so this is where we're going. And then Bugs Bunny says, something happens. Oh, they get together. They're in a train. They're doing all this loony stuff. And, he takes the TNT and he blows up the train tracks. And, basically the train is about to crash. And LeBron's like, what are you doing? And I love that Bugs Bunny says, I am a toon. I can survive anything. Okay. Then he says, then he Pan-Ams and he goes, I've got an idea. And he takes a flag and he says, I claim this land for Earth. And then 2 seconds later, we see Marvin the Martian come down in his space, his little space thing. And he comes down, he gets out with his dog, and he says, we claim this land for Mars. And I was like, So they went into Bugs Bunny and LeBron, basically steal his spacecraft, and they're off on a mission to go find all the other toons and create a team to play this game against the logarithm. Meanwhile, the logarithm is tricking and really charming the son. Okay, the son's like, where's my dad? And he's like, oh, he's gone. He doesn't support you. He's using all these words. And basically, makes it, and he even says, he calls him the prince. Hello, my prince. What can I do for you? And he's really trying to charm him, right? And then he tells him, the logarithm says to him, he goes, oh, and the son says, how do you know so much about me? And he goes, any device with a camera, I can see you. Any device that you use, I can hear you. And I was like, holy moly. Meanwhile, we've got all kinds of stuff happening because Bugs Bunny and LeBron are going in space and are going in between all these different, if you will, dimensions. And I want to mention them because I think they have purpose. So, first, they go to Harry Potter land. And as they do, LeBron James becomes Hufflepuff, which I believe I shared on the Oracle with the Badger. Okay. Then we go to superhero land. Okay, ready? Mind blow. Nicoletta, are you with me? um, she's my little partner in crime. So we go to DC world, and all of a sudden, Bugs Bunny becomes the Batman, like Batman, but Bugs Bunny version. And LeBron is Robin. And he's like, "What? I'm Robin." It was really funny. So they're on this train. Daffy is trying to pretend to be Superman. And they're on this train, and he's like, "I'm going to be Superman." And he's working with Porky Pig. I hope I'm doing this justice. And they're just trying to get some, like, all the cartoon characters are trying to morph into these new worlds that they're in. Okay. So Daffy wants to, of course, be Superman. And yeah, just one. Just one. Honey. So Daffy tries to be a Superman, and he's on this train, and it's like, we're gonna go, but we're gonna save everything. And on this train, I thought it was very interesting. There's my word again, because it showed the destinations, and it said Metropolis, Atlantis, Orphanage. I'm like, what is going on here? So I wanted to note that. So they're going down this train track, and they pass Atlantis. They catch this fish. They keep going, and they're about to crash into this orphanage when who comes up? Superman to save the day. I was like, what? I've been talking about the Justice League. I could not even plan this, you guys. I could not even plan this. So of course it pans to then I say the Justice League because with Superman, but then of course the rest of the crew. I see Aquaman, Wonder Woman. They all kind of come behind him. All right. Meanwhile, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner are in Mad Max. Okay. Um, Grandma and Speedy Gonzalez, the little mouse, they're in the Matrix. We've got the rooster. I'm laughing because I'm laughing to shout out to somebody who knows why. They see the rooster, number 33, by the way, and the rooster is participating in the Game of Thrones or the House of Thrones by riding a dragon. Okay. And then we see Lola, and where is she? Well, she's in the Amazon with Princess Diana, who of course is Wonder Woman. And so I'm just like, what is going on here? So so they pan to Lola. So basically, Bugs is like recruiting everybody, right? So we go into the land of Wonder Woman, and it's just like in the movie where Diana is about to do the gauntlet. She's about to do that big obstacle course, right? And so Lola's doing the same thing, and they're all coming up to her, and Bugs is like going with her and being silly. But by the end, she really wants to be part of this group, right? So I want to tell you though, when she goes on this gauntlet, the very first thing she does is she jumps on a black horse. She goes through a huge snake pit, over lava, and then up a Mayan monument. And I really feel that this is very related to because I told you that Lola was number 10, okay? um, is number 10. And I really feel that these are part of the activations that we've gone through. So all you divine feminines out there, which is really all of us, because we all have a divine feminine, we all have a divine masculine. So the divine feminine is like the left, okay, the left side of our body, and the divine masculine is the right side of the body, okay? And we all have both. But I've been kind of saying how I feel. There's some inauthenticity. So for those of you that are strong in your divine feminine, there seems to be an inauthenticity with the masculine. What I mean is we just can't seem to make the right move. We get the insight, we get the knowledge, but we can't seem to make the right move potentially. Okay, this is all changing, and of course, we're all at different points in the spectrum. And on the opposite side, those who are strong in the masculine, which I will tell you is not meant to be those who are divine feminines. Okay, so being strong in your masculine does not mean that because your masculine is the seat of your action. Okay, so when they work together, you have inspired action. So that's co-creation with source. But there seems to be a disconnect going on in our society as a whole. And this is kind of something that I like to bring to the light, but we are healing this. Okay, so the 33 is the challenge to heal the divine feminine, which we are wrapping up in. We're wrapping this cycle up as a collective, which is really exciting. And then, of course, it's the masculine's turn next. Okay, so then well, I'm not going to say next because it's not that clear and cut and dry. There's been activations for both. Okay, but there's definitely a coming together for sure. Now, so we're going through all these different worlds. We're collecting the other people. I'm just like cracking up because, especially like in the Matrix when Grandma and the Roadrunner are like being all like Neo, and it's just really hilarious. Anyway, so then we go back to LG, who's really charming the son. Okay, the son, the prince. Now he's calling him the wizard, and he's really getting on his side, and he's like, man, you made such a dope game. And he's like, let's do some upgrades. And he's like really kind of talking to him. He's like, okay. And the son just kind of says, okay. He doesn't even know. And he what does he doing? He creates a contract. Okay, at that moment he's creating a contract. That's how easy it is, you guys. So all of a sudden, and then like in this code language, a logarithm says that he's going to steal the code. Okay, he's going to steal the code. Now, this whole time, that this is the little signs that I notice. The whole time this is happening, the son Dom is wearing a sweatshirt, a hoodie, and on the hoodie is this symbol right here. Do you see it? Stands for the Ace of Hearts. Okay, this is on his hoodie on the right side. It's on the right side of his chest, yeah, the right side of his chest. And this is important because when they go to the uniforms, it actually gets something over it. So we've got the Ace of Hearts here, and then all this. Oh, I forgot a very important part. So before all this happens, I'm sorry, I forgot an important part. When they pan to Dom, he's in his room before they go to Warner Brothers with his dad. Um, he's in his room and he's working on his game, and he's scanning. He's using a scanner, and he scans in a spider. He scans in a snake, and he's like scanning these things in. Okay, this is really important. Okay, did you rent the movie? I gotta watch this. I know, it's so good. It's on Disney. It's on Disney. I'm telling you, it's like, what? This is the inspiration. And of course, why is it so inspiring? Because it itself is a part of creation. And that's what the angels have told me. The books, the stories, the oracle, everything is creation. And so therefore it has a place to inspire and to incite. Okay. And so these are the insights that I got. Now, when he steals the code and he upgrades the sun, okay, fast forward back to LG. All of a sudden, there's all these upgrades, and he's like, oh, we're making it the best it can be. And LG decides to create the ultimate game, and it's father versus son. Okay. So I thought that was really ironic. Now meanwhile, in Toon World, they pan to Toon World, and I see the number 432, 432, giving you the element of blast off. 432, right? Giving us the element of blast off, and then it's like you see LeBron is trying to get control of the Looney Tunes. They're all just being kind of crazy, it's like, here, Sam, shoot the ball, and Sam, Yosemite Sam is shooting up the basketball, and they're all being kind of crazy, and he's like, this is the fundamentals, okay? So he's being that coach. So I thought it was hilarious that all of a sudden Bugs Bunny goes into this hammer time routine, and then incredible. I've been seeing 4 through 2 do it as well. It's very synchronistic. Yes, I'm telling you. And then all of a sudden we've got LG coming in. It's time to get the big game going. Okay. And he says, we're going to go talk to the old news Looney Tunes, which is a reference for us oldie folks, for the Bad News Bears. Okay. So there's a reference here about the Bad News Bears, which you guys know is what I share is the bear has come to represent here on this channel, the queen. Okay. The queen, the element of the queen. All right. And so they set up this game, and real quickly we find that this court, okay, I'm going to call it the box of shadows because this is what it reminds me of. I'm not going to even lie. It reminds me a lot of my awakening. It's a structure. It's a square, which I lovingly refer to as the box of shadows. And the court is a force field. So nothing can come out and nothing can come in. But this LG, a logarithm, what he did with the game is he pulled everybody that saw the game came to this through this portal. Okay. And he pulled them there. And then there was a new bet. If you lose, LeBron, everybody has to stay here forever and ever and ever. No one can leave. And I'm going to delete all the tunes. But if you win, everybody gets to leave. Because it's time for a new king to take the throne. All right? It's time for a new king to take the throne. And then he talks about if my team wins, yada, yada, yada. Okay? So now we're going to meet the two teams. We've got the Tune Squad, Tune, which is just so important because we're talking about frequency, we're talking about vibration. And to start the game for the Tunes, we've got LeBron, number 6. And apparently this is a new number for him. Lola, ironically, my friends, remember she was number 10 in the first one? She's now number 11. Now, you guys know for me, 11 always means like an alignment, like an alignment, okay? So I thought that was super what? And Granny is number 88, okay? Elmer Fudd number 53. But what's really interesting is on the other side when they introduce the goons. Okay, so we got the goons, and playing for the goons, of course, is the sun. And then on his crew are his hybrids. I was like, oh my God, all the same thing that's been coming in my sacred work. So we've got the spider. It's the woman spider. It's red and black. We've got the wet fire, which is like Hydra, number 11 on the other team. And it can be either fire or it can be water. We've got, it's called the brow, but it's a crow, which is also a number 23. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then midway through the game, Kronos comes forward, who's like a robot. Okay, so there's all this, and this game is a little bit different because they're playing in the video game, and in the video game they get extra points for how they shoot, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so there's all these tons of numbers. Oh my gosh, tons and tons of numbers are going back and forth. And basically, we get towards the end of the game. Oh, as we're going through the game, you start to see more and more of the people by the bench. This is very important, I think, because on LG's side, the goon side, we're starting to see Pennywise, the monkeys from the Wizard of Oz, And in fact, at the very beginning, I was forgetting that part. At the very beginning, when LeBron comes into this computer world, LG like acts like Oz, to be honest. So there's this impersonation to him, of course, and but yeah, there's all these like bad guys. You see Harlequin, the Joker, just all these King Kong, all kinds of like bad villain guys. Okay, on that side, and every time it pans over, you see more and more and more. So we're in this game, and of course, by halftime, there is no halftime now. It's the third quarter. So at the end of the third quarter, okay, the third quarter, and I think I believe this is actually referring to a part of the moon, the quarter of the moon, potentially the third quarter of the moon. The score is 10:39 to 37 at the end. So obviously the goons are kicking their butt. And there's 11:59 on the clock. Ironically, we see 11:59 happening quite a bit, okay, on the clock. So, which talks to me about alignment with the 14, okay, which is really where we're going. So, I know I'm kind of talking a little bit in roundabout, but like this all give me different little signals, okay, for me to kind of understand a lot more of what's happening and how the angels are trying to communicate. That's why they take me to the movies to really help me hone in on the communication style. So really trust your angels and your guides if you're feeling like, oh man, like pulled to this or pulled to that. Most likely, it's a form of communication. It's a form of clarity. It's a form of focus. Okay. It's really bringing the trident, really allowing you to see things with new vision. And this is what the communication system does for us is it helps us hone in and understand how the angels are communicating with us, how our guides are communicating with us. So towards the end of the game now, we're getting towards the end of the game. And of course, at the third quarter, it's like, oh man, we're getting our butts kicked. And finally, LeBron, the dad, is like, you know what? I give up. Let's do it your way, Bugs. Let's have some fun. And they go out there and they are just whooping it up, having all kinds of fun. They catch up on the score, and because they're doing all this cool teamwork, and now the son on the other side, he's just getting all bummed out. Like, man, they look like they're having fun, and he's got a uniform on too. By the way, he's got a uniform on, no number, and it's all black. And remember, I told you about that Ace of Hearts. It's now covered over with this like jagged black shiny patch. Okay. And he's wearing this whole uniform. So I thought that was noticeable. Speaking of the uniforms, the Toon Squad uniform was also extremely interesting. Number one, the uniform is teal. And we've been talking about teal being the color for the Well of Dreams. This is what we're talking about, this activation for the 44, which is next. So it's like we finished the 33, which is about the divine feminine healing. And then we move into the 44, which is about the masculine, divine masculine healing. And, I've been getting that that's going to come all the way through next year. Okay. And then, of course, there's going to be many challenges as we go. But the uniform was teal. And I did note that they changed the uniform. So it's got all this teal. And then you see on the side, on the left side, you see in the middle it's a portal. It starts out dark, and then it's got yellow and it's got orange around it. You see this big portal on the side of the uniform. You can look it up and see for yourself. So there's this moment where they're catching up, and it's like we're getting down to the wire here. The game is getting really close. And, the son is like, man, you're just mean, AG. It's like he charmed him, and now he's realizing who he truly is. And he's just not out for his best interest at all. He's only interested in his own. He wants to come out of the shadows and walk into the light, remember? But he's doing it based on fear. And that's what the son says. I don't like how you're promoting fear. Okay. And I thought that was very interesting and so right on. And so he wants to go to the other team, and there's a father-son talk. And I mean, I actually got teary-eyed. Bugs got teary-eyed, and so did I. And and it is, and the father, LeBron, says, "I just want you to be yourself. I love you, son," and all this stuff. I don't even know if I'm doing this right. And he's like, "Dad, you're doing it right. It feels right to me." um, you know. And so then they present the son with a jersey, and it's like a big deal that they're presenting him. And of course, what number? What number do you think that the son might have? It's number 7, which is the magic. The year number 7. That's where we are. That's where we're going into. Okay. So here LeBron is showing that he has faith. And as we're in the fourth quarter, 4 seconds to go. I know I got a little bit of a little bit of nail polish. I won't come off. Um, fourth quarter, 4 seconds to go. All of a sudden, there is an upgrade in the game, and the son throws the upgrade to his dad, and he steps on it, and it literally shows an arrow of ascension, and they end up winning the game. The score is 1041 to 1042. Now, if we add 1042, we get 1 plus 0 plus 4 plus 2. 1, 5, we got another 7. So there's a lot of sevens going on here, okay? We get 6 to the 7, and it's like finally we won the game. And how did we win the game? We won the game by letting go. Like his dad let go of his mindset, the work ethic, okay? And this is so ingrained in so many of us, okay? Before I really get into like those particulars, there's one last thing that happens. There's a glitch, and they know that there's a glitch, and LeBron is like, I'm gonna do the glitch, and what ends up happening is Bugs Bunny does the glitch, and they show him at the end of the movie. It's like everybody wins, everything's fine. At the end of the movie, what you see is Bugs Bunny, and he goes up in the sky, and there's this huge gold burst in the sky, right? I got goosebumps, actually. So there's this huge burst of gold sparkle in the sky. And then 1 week later, we see LeBron taking his son to what he thinks is basketball camp, and he surprises him and takes him to computer camp. And he says, "Son, it's all about what you need to do. It's not what I want for you, it's what you want to do." I got goosebumps because it's really a really good moment. Like, there are so many boys and so many men that need this from their fathers. It's like that wound, right? You can feel the wound. And then all of a sudden, you hear, what's up, Doc? And you see Bugs Bunny. And I don't even know why I'm getting emotional right now. It's so silly. I'm getting a little emotional because it pans to Bugs Bunny and LeBron. It's like, Bugs, oh my God, you're here. And he says, remember, I'm a tune and I can survive anything. And that's making me emotional. That's making me emotional because the tune is referring to the frequency. The tune is referring to the frequency and the vibration that we put out. And so this is what I'm very passionate about teaching because, yes, many times we endure. Yeah, it was such a beautiful ending. Okay. And I think it's really showing how we pay forward what I like to call the thieves. Okay. So I like to call subconscious scripts thieves. And I do believe there are 40 thieves, like the story of Alibaba and the 40 thieves. And I do believe that these subconscious scripts, the chatter that runs in the background, just like the algorithm, okay, in the background, they want to come to the forefront and they want to survive. They want to come into the light, right? And there's this inner battle that happens, okay? And it's like sometimes what happens in your healing process as you face those shadows, sometimes what can happen, well, really, there's one of two things. Number one, you just like have this internal fight. And unfortunately, what happens when you start, I'm going to refer that to the boxing of the hair. You start boxing yourself, okay? Shadow boxing, let's just call it shadow boxing. You start boxing the shadows, okay? And for anyone that's in that stage, I want to tell you, hey, we're all where we are. But let me tell you something. That is a huge waste of your energy, okay? Because you can box those shadows all you want. They're going to keep coming round and round and round. You can go for a run, sure. Shadow comes up. You can go for a run. Conscious maintenance. I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to zone out. You can, do some drugs, right? Try to tap it out. But what always happens, my friends, is it always comes back. And why is this? Why is this? And this is what really we should be teaching in school. It always comes back because, just as the logarithm said, is it wants to come forward so that it can be released into the light. Okay. So I've been a firm believer since the very beginning, and even in my own awakening process, is like, think of Peter Pan, the shadow, right? So Peter Pan's shadow, they would have fun, and the shadow would show him things. Think about how the shadow showed him how to go into the nursery and things like that, right? And I believe that our shadows can do the same thing, okay? But we're not meant to like jump into the shadow and hold it, because the shadow is actually a piece of us that we left behind. It's actually coming back up so that we can take that piece sitting over here and we can bring it back together. Why? So that eventually, when we put our puzzle together, we can step into our full power. Because you cannot step into your superhero status until you are in your full power. Okay. And the shadows, they come up to give you these little morsels, and they really, like in the movie, like the beautiful ending, they really are the backdrop to the contrast of the duality, which allows you to really understand and alchemize and really hone in on the wisdom of what the shadow is talking about to begin with. So this movie is just really showing me so many different things. No matter where you are in your awakening, you are right exactly where you need to be. Okay. I knew my husband was going to do this. I told him not to call me. Honey, I'm in the middle of going live. I am live. Hi guys, my husband Bob, who I told not to call me till after 11. Can I can I call you back in a few minutes or no? Okay, you can text it to me. Thanks. Text it. Take a picture. Bye. My husband's doing a wedding with our food truck. I knew he was going to be calling, so I'm going to get off here in a few minutes. But I just want to wrap up this synopsis. This is something new. I don't even know if you guys like this, but if you like this, I do already know the next movie that's coming up, and I'm not going to share it yet because I don't know if it's coming up for sooner or later. But I have a hunch it's coming up for the next full moon to help us with this 45. Something, an activation that's going to be happening between the solar plexus and the heart chakra. And I'm not surprised because the divine feminine healing is all about going through the heart chakra. Now, a lot of you are in different parts of all of this. Some of us are ahead of it, and that's because we're teachers and we're meant to teach others on how and pay it forward, right? And so on and so on and so forth, right? And so I just wanted to share the inspirations about all this, but I think it is really something I would love to leave you to think about is those shadows. They come up and they lead you. A lot of people are like, they deny the shadow. Okay. I know I did. It comes up to the top. My shadow, a big shadow for me, I'm a child of abuse. So a big shadow for me was this responsibility, especially during e-learning. Like when we all stayed home for COVID, and now I had to become not only was I an entrepreneur, and we had COVID, but now I had to be a teacher, and it just was really a lot to stack up on, and it really became a huge shadow for me. And I was taking this class, and I remember very clear, and it led to my heart cracking open, to be honest. And it led to all of this. So it's so beautiful where your shadows can take you. But I was literally in a class called Prosper, doing some shadow work. and learning about shadow work. And basically, I was so triggered by my daughter. I love her dearly, but because of my trauma, I realized that I wanted to have the same kind of support system that she had. And so I didn't have that. So an overactive child was coming out. I was like literally having a tantrum, okay? Uh, And this is a lot for me to talk about, being very vulnerable because we don't like to talk about our shadows. And so I started leaning into that shadow instead of letting it come up and then like oh, washing the dishes or talking forever to my friends about this and that, all the things that I did previous that never helped because the shadow would always come back up, is I did something different. I pulled out my journal. I pulled out a journal and I pulled out a pen and I started taking some advice from this coach, a business coach actually, that I was working with. Like I told you, I'm a spiritual virgin. I had no idea what any of this spirituality was. And I started leaning into that. Like, why am I feeling this way? And I started asking myself one question to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the shadow. And as long as you are in a good state of mind, I recommend this. If you are not in a great state of mind, I don't recommend it because you can get very vulnerable. But I was in a good state of mind. And so I continued to lean into my shadow. And how would I do that? Is I would just ask myself, so like for instance, I was like, I'm so frustrated. Like nobody thinks anything that I want to do is important. And then I asked myself the question, well, what would it mean if it wasn't important? Well, that would mean that, I must not matter. Well, what would it mean if you didn't matter? Well, if I didn't matter, then what's the point of me being here? And you just lean more and more and more into the shadow and you really get vulnerable, okay? Because a lot of times we can't really go to those depths with other people, but we can with ourselves. And when you put your pencil and your pen and you put it in your journal, you're manifesting into this 3D, into this time. You're manifesting and you're letting the shadow come to the light. You're bringing it up, and as you bring it up and as you put it in your journal and you're going down and down and down into that shadow, you're eventually going to get to a place where you're just going to be like, I am nothing. And as hard as that is to be, it is the most freeing place to ever go to because there's this moment where you realize all the way down. Okay, so the shadows come, and most people, they're like, I'm out of here. I'm running away from my shadow. Not me. I'm now, not anymore. Now I turn around and I face that shadow. I jump in that hole because I know that there's a trap door at the bottom to the brightest light you ever saw. And why? Because that fragment of you comes back. That piece of you that you left there, that piece of me that I left in trauma. And am I going to let the trauma rule who I am? Well, I was. I was letting that happen. I didn't know that, but I was. So and that's what I love about Alice in Wonderland. So here's another movie. Like she falls through the hole and she falls through and she really starts to kind of question herself and go on this walk, on this quest, so to speak. And I know that so many of you are here. So lean into those shadows, bring them in your notebook, and as you're spilling them out and you get down into that I am nothing, this is the beautiful thing, is the minute that you admit I am nothing, you have to know there's this brilliance, like this light right here. I love this light right here. There's this brilliance. And what I mean is, because you know that the opposite of nothing is everything. There's just a knowing that if I'm operating in nothing, then everything must exist. And so if that is true, if I am nothing, then why can't I ask for what I truly want? And so when you get to the bottom of that pit and you realize you're nothing, that is the best time to declare to God, your angels, source, whatever you believe, that is your best time to declare what you want, what you want. And that's what I did. And these are the moments that crack open your heart. And I heard oracle and I heard healer, and that developed into this. Okay. And I'm so grateful because now I'm very passionate about paying it forward. So this is our first movie night. We got to come up with a name for it because, I'm all about the names. So if you have any ideas for the name of it, please let me know. I hope you enjoy this. I see some of you are still on. Maybe this will grow. It was kind of difficult doing two movies, but at the last minute, and the angels are like, "You had to watch the next one." I didn't even know there was a next one. I'm like, "What?" But it was hilarious. And I'm so glad that I did because it really is just like so right on time with where I am in my healing. Okay. And I'm picking up on so many collective, because we're always healing, right? And that's the very first thing that that's the last thing I want to leave here is that no matter how much I love to teach, I am forever a student. I'm forever a student because there are two constants in this world. There are two constants, my friends. There are two things that you can keep constant. The one is universal law. That's the one, that everything must come into balance. Okay. So even if you feel like things are so out of whack, I am telling you, every time has its purpose. As somebody who's been potentially where you are, the crazier and more out of whack it is, please be ready for the blessings to come your way because all must come into balance. Number one. Number two, the only other constant is evolution. So those are the only two things, my friends, that we just have to make sure that we're using to guide us. Okay. So I hope this was beneficial. This was a lovely time, amazing insights, definitely loved it, and we'll look forward to another movie night. Nice. Well, thank you so much. And then, wow, I watched a reading from Shamanic Insights where she said was shown a puzzle. I'm sorry, but I don't mind being blown away with the synchronicities. Oh, I'm not surprised. You're gonna get a lot, Shamanic Insights, Angel Insights. And who do you think made my new logo? Love you, Nicoletta. We're definitely soul sisters, for sure. So I hope that this movie night, just kind of like opened up some questions. And the very thing I want to leave you with that clean ask. How do you ask? Okay. Is you just wonder. Oh, I got goosebumps. Thank you, angels, for reminding me to talk about this. You just wonder. And so I started to say, I wonder what it would look like to travel with my family. I started to say, I wonder what it would look like if I could, build a YouTube channel. I wonder what it would look like if I could, go back to doing something in art. I wonder what you see. I wonder. And the reason I'm saying you say it like that, instead of setting clear cut goals, because that's what the two movies share in common, is at the beginning of both movies, there is a sharing of goals, very specific. And we're told to do this in our modern world. And I know I've done it too. We're told, hey, I want to sell, $30,000 by 11:59 p.m. Oh my God, 11:59. That is so hilarious because so many people do this. Holy crap. 11:59 on April 30th, which is the deadline. Okay. Oh my God, that is so synchronistic to me. And they're very detailed because we've learned to do this. And I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, 28 years. And this is what you learn, and to keep yourself accountable. But the moment you make those declarations, my friends, you limit yourself. You limit yourself. So allow yourself to wonder instead. Allow yourself to wonder so that you don't limit yourself, because that's how powerful you are. Okay? We'll leave you with that thought. We'll talk to y'all soon. 122, 123, 17, 18, 19. Oh my gosh, 123 on the clock. 123:23. Peace. I'm out. Happy Easter tomorrow for those who celebrate. Pascha, Orthodox. coming next week. Okay. Have a wonderful weekend. It's going to get in the 70s around here. I'm so pumped. Watch for those wildlife. Watch for all my walks coming. Okay. I'm going to get back to my exploring now that the weather's nicer. Have yourself a great weekend. This was super fun. I will hang out with you soon. Bye, guys.